What is up, guys? Welcome back. Evan Aldo here. Wanted to give you guys an update on what I've been doing in the market, what I think is going to happen next, why we potentially could see kind of a Santa rally, rally from now into sometime in December, potentially up to 108K. That's kind of the big point that I've been looking at, for Bitcoin. And it's typical in kind of your first bear market rally. And I would say your first bear market in the sense that, we've had the worst correction for Bitcoin since 2022 now. We've come down more than 30%, or more than 32%, whatever it was, 36% right now. So, things are looking more and more bearish. This trade did, obviously very well right here. This short on ETH. It's not as completely as good as it looks, I'll be honest, because there were two ETH shorts that did get stopped out. But 2-to-1 risk-reward ratios, if you could win half your trades, that's plenty profitable. So that's kind of what I'm aiming to do. I am looking to hedge this with a ETH long or Bitcoin long relatively soon. I'll talk about that in a second. Funding rates right now. No, if you want to trade on TapBit, really good exchange. They are doing, I'll show you what they're doing. They're doing a giveaway. They turned 4-year anniversary of being an exchange, so some good giveaways, some trading bonuses. Check it out. It's the second link down below, pinned link to the video. And if you deposit 150 bucks, you get 100 to trade with, and then registering just gives you 50 and then 20% cash back on your fees for life with my link down below. In addition, BYDFI's doing a deposit bonus as well, and 20% for your fees for life. 20% for your fees for life with both BloFin as well, deposit bonus. Remember, if you sign up to any of the exchanges, deposit at least 150 bucks, open a support ticket in Discord with your UID or your email, we'll give you one free month. Got KMAC in there, Nightshade in there, a lot of really good traders. I do all these, post all these trades in ahead of time before I enter them, the ones I show you here. So, yeah, accumulated funding rate. I mean, we're slightly positive for funding rates, not crazy high. So not a ton of people are trying to long, which I guess is good if you want kind of a little relief rally here. You're hitting this point. If you look at the daily, I mean, it's not a true bull div, but it's a deep anchor wave, which could give us some relief. And if you do see some relief, I could guess something like this. Now, the big place that that we probably will rally to at some point, and I learned this from Ben Cowan. Shout out to Ben Cowan. And it's kind of the 200 daily moving average. We generally, once you enter the bear market, you generally rally to it at one point. 108K, I would guess you could hit that around December 13th. That would be interesting because around December 10th, December 13th, what is that? That's your next FOMC meeting, December 10th, as you can see right here. Right now, it says you're going to have a 25 basis point cut. That's what it says right now. If we rally into that, maybe it's a pause. Maybe that catches people off guard, and we dump down. I wouldn't surprise me if you do see a pause. So keep that in mind. Definitely keep that in mind. If it's not a pause this time, it may be a pause in January. We saw a pause in January this year, and that led to a lot of downside. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. I do think you do have the new Fed chair coming in May. After that, and that's the thing too, it could be an earlier bottom this time because ETH bottomed in June of 2022. Maybe we bottom in May, and then the new Fed chair kind of saves us. Trump always has interesting ways to win, to get things done. So keep that in mind. The thing too, guys, is I wanted to show you guys the monthly. Monthly red Heiken Ashi candle. Look at these bear markets. Kind of a no-brainer. Wait till you get a green Heiken Ashi candle and then buy. I mean, some of these could have turned green without, confirming on the way up. There's that. Same thing here in this bear market. The other thing that, probably even better in that, in terms of being more comfortable in this market, wait till these bright EMAs on the 3-day, or these gray EMAs turn bright again. I mean, that's like a foolproof, almost every time. I mean, I guess we're due for some time for it to kind of maybe turn bright again, then just, nuke down, or whatever. But no, look at here. It's kind of like equivalent to your death cross. That was bear market, huge bear market, and even the last bear market too. I mean, you go back to here, long, elongated bear market. So keep that in mind. Wait till these go bright, which probably would be, sometime in the second half of this year, I would guess. If things are it's kind of a cycle shortening theory, I think. The cycles are kind of getting shorter here and more diminished returns. So when this goes bright, probably a good place to get in there. So Ethereum, similar stuff. I think that for ETH, you can definitely get I think 108K is kind of like 35 to 3,700 for ETH. So something like that. I mean, that's a low risk, high reward trade. You could also eke out a 2-to-1 there. That could be a good trade too, especially a long. And I'm getting close to entering that long. I don't know if I'm going to do it just yet. It's still the weekend, but I'm getting close to kind of entering that long to at least try to hedge the bet here. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I'm looking at here overall on these markets. If I had to kind of map this out on what I would guess would really happen here, something like this, and then, probably more downside into January, and, I mean, something like that, hopefully a higher low. If you can make a higher low from this low here in April, that would be really good. Maybe, it could be more extended, maybe April or May, seeing that area. That's what I would be looking at for Ethereum. Ethereum versus Bitcoin, I mean, I would guess if Ethereum could survive, you want to do something like this and maybe extend out, make a new high here from that bull market sometime in 2029 in the 4-year cycle, and continue forward here. If ETH can continue to outperform Bitcoin as it did the last time ended QT back here in 2019, that area, that would be really, really good for ETH. I think anything that could outperform Bitcoin for the next 4 to 6 months would be great. Solana, again, I mean, all of these I think can rally in the short term. I don't know how much Solana can do. I would be more inclined to go along in ETH or Bitcoin, but 150, maybe 180, these type of areas, and then probably in all likelihood going down. Now, the thing I wanted to mention too is if you can hold 108K for maybe a week, 2 weeks, something like that, that would bring me more bullish. That would bring me more on the optimistic side that maybe you can get up to 150, 160K sometime in 2026, like a lot of people are saying. But until that happens, I don't think the likelihood is very high at all. Bitcoin versus gold in these bear markets, I like to look at these things, 80, 87, probably you'll see something with a 6 in front of it in this, so it's, 86, yeah, I mean, the pattern, probably something with a 6 in it, I would guess. I mean, it could be a 70% correction against gold. Gold is pretty hot right now. We'll see what happens. I think that will come down with everything else a bit, but yeah, these areas, if you can get like down to kind of here on the gold valuation, that would be probably a good place to convert some gold to Bitcoin or buy Bitcoin in general. So that's what I'm kind of looking at. I think triple Q too, you do have a large bear div on the 2-week. I think this will eventually come down to probably at least 538 sometime in 2026. So we'll keep our eyes on that. These EMAs are starting to turn gray a little bit on the daily. I mean, so, this is kind of a good strategy with the triple Q. I mean, it gets choppy sometimes, but see, turned gray there, a lot of bearishness, then it turned bright again. Good place to get in. So, yeah, I think you'll see, at least in the first half of 2026, probably some more downside for the triple Q and all that. Some valuations I've been looking at, gold versus SPY. We've talked about this a lot. Macro does look good. Bright EMAs on the monthly, very similar to 2002. And I think you could even go, even more similar in my opinion to like mid to late, in like 1960s. I think that's kind of where we are, like mid to late. Like kind of here at the earliest. It's different this time. It's different, but maybe that just shows a weakening of kind of the S&P 500 U.S. economy overall. So just kind of keep that in mind. I think right now, like the assets to have are, even though I do think like gold, NASDAQ don't look that attractive to me right now, but they look more attractive than Bitcoin. I'll say that. You know what I mean? So like boring assets, S&P 500, gold. I mean, Berkshire Hathaway has looked really good, has been jumping against the S&P 500. I think it can continue to do so, especially if these markets generally, kind of correct. If they generally come down, your S&P 500 as well, that's a bear div on that 2-week here. So I mean, it definitely has that potential to come down. Maybe get one more rally upward into the end of the year, but I could see, if you draw like fib levels or whatever. Let's see here, maybe from that high to that high. Okay, there's that fib level. And then really, if you went, from here, that's what I meant to draw, 640. I think the big pocket, see these peaks, 611, and that would be 11% down. I could even see it being more, maybe even 15, maybe 18% down in the first half. We're due for, somewhat of a correction. So just keep that in mind, guys. Though, like I mentioned, I do think you could get some serious upside in December that will leave, maybe a Santa rally that will leave a lot of people wondering, is the bull run back on? But unless we could really hold that 108K area, then it probably is not going to be back on. So yeah, guys, if you want to check out the Discord, if you want to trade, check out the TapBit promo. They just turned 4, the anniversary. Really good promos right there, really good giveaways, and then deposit 150.